screen sharing, show my screen. Let me know when you can see this, Avish. Welcome.
Greetings.
Oh, Bill, you're there. Hey, how are you?
I am here.
I got your screen now too.
Good, excellent. Bill, good to have you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Hey, wanted to just let you know, everybody who's listening, welcome. Thank you for coming to the regular Wednesday protege call, webinar. And here's how we do things. It is where I get together every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern to basically talk with a number of my JV partners and sort of answer any questions that they have at that particular time. See if they need help on anything, try and provide some insights I've learned over the past week and do the whole thing. And Bill, I was going to try and keep this secret, Bill, but when you come into town, every element of the ERML event, which, by the way, for those of you who are listening, the ERML event will be, and by the way, I'm going to promote that it's not up there yet, but it's going to be at Complete Internet Marketing.com is where I'm going to promote it. Now, ERML's going to have a different site for his. Or we're going to use the same. I'm going to use the same. I'm sorry. So actually, he's sitting right next to me, so he can. But here's the deal, Bill. The reason why you should be excited, and Avish, you didn't properly ingratiate yourself to ERML apparently because all the examples that ERML is going to use at this upcoming ERML event is going to be Bill DeWeese. Every single thing.
And that's not what we talked about in advance.
But wait a second. I'll tell you why that is. The reason is
my site is so good; he has nothing to offer.
No. Actually, it's quite elemental on a capitalistic kind of thing. Bill paid ERML money to help make some things happen quickly, and so sure enough,
money talks.
Money talks, as it always does.
I once heard a comedian say accurately that Indian people don't hate other people; they only hate other Indians. And I think that's demonstrative of that.
I think we should start a bidding war on this webinar.
Yeah, we gotta start a bidding war on whose site is gonna be covered. But anyway, so enough of us goofing around here. It's Inside Baseball. For those of you who are listening, what's happening is we're going to be doing a 3-day event that we're recording, and we're going to produce one heck of a product. And ERML is, again, filling my brain filled with tons and tons of information. And I will show you some of a few like tidbits of what we're going to be covering. But it's all about 3 things: traffic, conversion, and product, with a heavy emphasis on traffic. And so, ERML came out a little bit early. He was hanging out here in Vegas. They put him up for free at the Rio because he spent a bunch of money. He actually made some money on blackjack this time, so he's feeling much better. And I'm wearing a shirt his wife sent over from England for me, so I feel absolutely dapper. So let's talk about a few things. First off, Avish, we got your site up here, but let me do a refresh, because what you've done here is you've now got the pop over. It doesn't come in with a pop. Now I got to go leave the site. No, it only once.
No,
only once, because it's okay. So what was
once every
happening?
7 days.
What's that?
It'll only pop up once every 7 days, so you don't get it like every time you come.
Got it. Once every 7 days, which is really good because then it's not obnoxious. And so now on voiceover training, Bill, there are a number of things that we noticed right away. And why don't we go through some of those things, ERML, that we noticed on Bill's site? So what were the things, and for people watching and listening to this who are saying, well, how can I, what are some things I can do for my site? What were some of the things we noticed right away on the site that we could do and make it better?
One of the things that I noticed on the homepage was the lack of the meta descriptions, and the easiest way to look at that is if we look at this. If you look at the source code.
Just hold on, let me do that here. Okay, so lack of meta descriptions. If we go in here to view source,
if you go to view source,
okay, you guys all seeing this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And if you scroll down slightly, you can see that you've got the just there the all-in-one SEO pack. This is the plugin that you're using to optimize the site for obviously the search engines. But what you've got is you've got the meta description there, the meta name equals description that Fred has just highlighted, and you don't have.
Hold on, I just moved it. There. Where'd it go? Oh,
should be the other one.
Yeah, where is it? View source. View. hold on a second. Excuse my ineptitude here. Source.
Yeah, page source. That should do it.
Okay, sorry about
Scroll
that.
down again. Scroll down a little
Yep,
bit.
I blew it here.
There it is. Now, one of the things that the all-in-one SEO pack plugin for WordPress does is it optimizes every single page of your site for whatever keyword you're trying to rank that page for. Now, the one of the mistakes that a lot of people make is that on the home page, they don't actually choose a keyword and then start the description with that keyword. So, for example, what you've got here on your site, Bill, is you've got the description starting with the words 7 things you need to know before starting your voiceover career. However, the entire site is optimized, including the title and the domain name, for the phrase voiceover training.
Right.
So what you need to do is you need to make sure that if you're using a particular keyword for the domain name and also in the title of the homepage, you've got to keep that consistent and optimize that entire page just for that one keyword.
And the thing that Ermel brought up, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ermel, is that we talked about how on the home page itself, and these are a couple of the things, some of the little tidbits of just part tidbits of things we're going to be covering over this upcoming weekend after this actually. And one of the things that you talked about is how every page should be optimized for a separate keyword, correct?
Absolutely. This is something that everybody that I've spoken to it and shown how this thing works gets confused. Now, Google doesn't rank or evaluate your website. What it does is it evaluates every single page within your website. So, for example, if you type in a certain keyword into Google, you're not going to get the entire website listed there. You're going to get a specific page of your website that it feels is the most relevant for that keyword, ranking for that keyword term. I hope that makes sense, because once you realize that every single page of your website is different, it helps you to rank each page for different keywords.
You should almost think of it, Ermel, shouldn't you, as almost a separate business? Every page is a separate business.
Absolutely. Now, if you think of it, the way that I like to think about it is the internet is literally a massive collection of web pages that are linked together via these links. Now, your website is just a collection of web pages that you own.
Yep.
That's the only difference.
Within a shell that's called a site.
That's it, exactly. But each page should be optimized for its own keyword. So the reason you want to do that is because when Google then comes to your website or any other of the search engines, Google can decide which page of your website is the most relevant for which keyword. Now, if you have 3 or 4 pages that have the same title tags and the same keywords and the same kind of content on them, well, Google's going to find it hard to figure out which one is the most relevant.
And you're competing with yourself in a way.
Exactly. And Google won't rank more than 2 pages from your website for any keyword.
Now, repeat that. Okay, that's important. Listen to this, Bill Avish. I didn't know this. So
Google will not rank on more than 2 pages of your website for any one keyword. It's it's an algorithm change they made a few years ago, I think it was. Before that, you could actually have 5 or 6 pages of your same site, your same domain name, ranking on one page. But now I think they've restricted it to a maximum of 2.
Yeah. Now tell me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So the best thing to do is make sure that each of your web pages is focused on one particular keyword. Now, again, that doesn't mean go crazy and just build web pages for each keyword. You've got to have that balance between content for people that visit the site and also keywords that you're targeting.
And the reason why, it's sort of interesting, because we were talking about this last night, you obviously want to rank well in Google for the first-time visitor to get them there. But if you don't have compelling content and interesting material, you won't get people to keep coming back.
Exactly, that's right, and that's the key. You've got to really look at getting visitors to your website and obviously getting them to buy whatever it is they're promoting or selling. You've got to get them there firstly, but then you've got to keep them coming back. And getting them there, you'll do that via the keywords and the search engines and many other ways of getting traffic.
So the other thing that was brought up, and Bill, this is important for you and your site as well, is that one of the things you were talking about is how you should look at your main your landing page or your index.html page, this page right here, Bill. You should look at this differently than you look at other pages on your site, correctly, in terms of and how you should treat it for Google.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that I've been testing that I find works quite well is actually, instead of building lots and lots of backlinks just to the homepage, is building backlinks to the inner pages of your site. Now, if you follow the kind of concept of each web page on your site should be optimized for a different keyword, well then when you build a backlink to a particular site, the link should actually use the keyword that site is optimized for as the text that links to it.
Okay, so give me an example. So in my case, let's do Bill's as an example.
Yeah.
Although
so for example, if we go to Bill's site and we actually go to one of Bill's pages.
Okay, let's go to something in
one of his blog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and we'll click on any link.
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. We'll go on that one there.
Okay.
Now here at the moment, what I can see is if you right at the top there in the title, you can see that the title says critical mass in your voiceover business. So I would probably, I don't know what this page is optimized for, but just looking at that, it's probably optimized for the key phrase voiceover business. You've also got it there in your headline, which is reaching critical mass in your voiceover business. And then you've got the keyword, throughout the bits of text that you've got on the page as well. Now, if this page was optimized for that keyword voiceover business, then any links coming to this page from other web properties or other sites or directories or YouTube or other articles or press releases should use the keyword voiceover business. And you should only use that keyword when you link to this page. Got it.
And so what if that's one of Bill's, and by the way, Bill, we were doing a little bit of research and we found out that in your case, we noticed, and this again is for real-voice-over, so we'll just call it the Bill site. So on Bill's site, one of the things that we noticed is that there are two really dead center keywords. One is voice over training, and the other is voice training, and voice over business. And so these were the two, and tell Bill why. What?
The reason these were the two is obviously after doing some research on the Google, using tools like the Google Keyword Tool, and also other paid tools like Market Samurai and Rank Tracker, what I found is these were the two keywords that were getting the most search volume. Now there are a lot of other keywords, but these were two of the most. These were two where you've got to find that balance between keywords that are highly competitive. And have too much competition, and you're not going to be able to, tap into that traffic immediately, and also keywords that are at the other end of the scale that don't have enough volume to be worth your time to pursue and get them ranked in the search engines. These two keywords, voiceover training and voiceover business, were two that had a good amount of traffic. I think voiceover training had about 4,500 searches a month, and voiceover business had
about a third of that, I think, or about a half.
Was it? Yeah, I think it was about 2,500 or 3,000 searches a month. So between them, that's a good number of searches, and it's only two keywords to pursue to start with. And that's another important thing. A lot of people decide the first thing to do is to build a massive keyword list, which is all good and well. But when you're trying to rank in the search engines, you can only really go after one or two keywords at a time, because if you're spreading out where you're positioning your backlinks and you're spreading out the different anchor texts that you're using, you're really spreading out the effectiveness of all the work that you're doing to try to rank the site.
So if people are listening in on this webinar and they're saying, well, what should I do? You first need to, number one, decide on what are the keywords you're trying to rank for.
Yeah.
And don't get caught up with trying to rank for all of these other, like I would suggest to people that they look at the list of keywords that come up and then create blog posts for each of those words. But instead of doing that, you're diluting your efforts. Initially, pick one or two and try and get ranked for that. By doing what? What do we have to do?
Right, to rank the keywords, the first thing you really need to do is firstly make sure that Google has found your site or your page that you've got the content on. Now, the
What did we
content...
find? Tell Bill what we found out with his.
What did we find out with
Well,
Bill's?
What did you find out?
We found out a lot of stuff about yours, Bill. One of the things that I think a lot of people miss when they use WordPress is there is a setting in WordPress under the general section. No, I think it's the writing section called Update Services.
Okay.
Now, update services, yeah.
Yep.
Now, in that section, you can put a list of web addresses that are called ping web addresses, P-I-N-G. Now, what a ping web address is it's basically a website that alerts or updates the big search engines that there's some new content on your blog.
Now, when we first got to your site in that area, in that section yesterday, Bill, what we found is it was defaulting to this thing called Ping-O-Matic.
Yes.
Now, Ermel has a list of different sites that you're going to ping. So we took this list, we copied it over, we pasted it into this section. Yes. And what's that going to do?
Now, basically, what this does is by default, WordPress gives you one site that it will update every time you make a blog post. Now, there are lots of these sites, and they all update different search engines. Now, what I did yesterday is I went into Bill's site and updated this with a list of sites that I've used successfully in the past. So now, anytime that Bill makes a new blog post, all of these services will update a massive number of search engines to come and visit this new blog post that's been put on Bill's site.
And why is that important?
And that's important because, this is another concept that I think a lot of people misunderstand. If your web page is not in Google, so if Google doesn't know that your web page even exists, any backlinks from that page don't count. And I think that's worth repeating. If you don't have your website indexed in the Google web page, indexed by Google, then the links from that page to any of your other pages do not hold any value, because it's like having a website that Google knows nothing about. You may have a link from that website to your site or your web page, but if Google doesn't know the site exists, it doesn't know your web link, the link exists. So one of the most important things you need to do is anytime you put any new content out is you need to make sure that your page is indexed by Google. What I mean by indexed doesn't mean ranking on the first page of Google. I mean Google knows that that web page exists. So if you actually typed in that web page into the Google search bar, the page would be listed there.
Yeah, yeah. And so what happens is that when we looked at, and remember, I was under the impression, mistakenly, Bill, that, as long as you do a lot of blog posting and stuff like that, because what it comes down to is, again, and Ermel confirmed this, which I've always thought, which is it comes down to two things. It comes down to content and it comes down to backlinks, but there's some other elements there that we'll talk about a little bit later on your one site that has no content or doesn't have it, it's just images.
Absolutely.
But one of the things that means is that we looked, and remember when we looked at Bill's data with regards to backlinks?
Yes.
We saw, tell them what we saw.
Yeah, I was quite shocked when I looked at Bill's site in respect to backlinks. I use about 2 or 3 different tools because I was quite shocked when I used the first tool to find that there were about 5 or 6 backlinks to Bill's site. I think there were about 11, of which 8 of them were actually missing. So Google at one point had found 11 backlinks, but as of this moment, as of yesterday when we did our last check, 8 of those backlinks didn't exist anymore.
And how would that happen?
Now, that could happen for a number of reasons. The backlinks could be from other blog websites, and the blog owner has decided to take the backlink down for a reason. It could be from a forum that you've made a comment on, but for some reason that the link's been disabled. So there's a number of reasons why other web owners may want to take your link off. One of the most important reasons is that this really gets into the concept of PageRank. Now, this is quite an important concept. Now, PageRank is basically Google's way of measuring how important your site is compared to other sites on the internet. Now, PageRank is
And that's not comparing you to other sites in your field. It's comparing to other sites on the whole internet.
In the whole internet, that's right. Now, PageRank is quite important because what PageRank is PageRank is Google's way of measuring how important your site is and how quickly it should come and index it. So now it's important to understand PageRank.
So how do we get Bill's site to get higher PageRank?
Right, to get higher PageRank, to get higher PageRank, it's really simple. You need to get links to the site from sites that already have PageRank. Now, that's because by putting your website on the internet, you do not automatically have any PageRank. PageRank isn't something that you acquire because you optimize your site. It can only be given to your site via another site that has it. So if you have a backlink from a site that already has a high PageRank value, it can pass that PageRank value to your site. So what that really means is PageRank is already existing on the web between sites, and by getting sites that have this PageRank linking to you, some of that PageRank comes to you.
Does that make sense, Bill?
Yeah, it does. So the key is finding the sites that have high page rank.
Absolutely.
Now, and the other confusion that I had that Ermal cleared up for me was this, is that I thought, if you're in the voiceover business, you don't want somebody who's an expert on catching fleas to link to your site, even if they had a page rank of 7 on their site. And Ermal says to me, no, that's absolute malarkey.
Absolutely no. This is something that I've argued for so many years now, and I've proven it in many cases for my clients. Now I've not found, and this is obviously my experience with my own sites and my client sites. There's no correlation between the links from related sites linking to your site and just having links that have absolutely no relation to your niche whatsoever.
So they're just as valuable as those that are related.
The way I like to look at it, I think there was a Matt Cutts, who is the unofficial Google spokesperson, actually spoke out about this a little while. I think it was about 6 or 8 months ago, and the consensus was if only links from other related sites were important, then those sites would have a monopoly and could charge for those links.
Do you understand that? So in other words, if Google was only taking sites that were related to you and placing import on them, then what could happen is those sites would know it and they'd start saying, "Well, you give me $2,000, I'll link back to you."
Absolutely. Another way of looking at it is if you imagine in Bill's business, the voiceover training keyword, if you take the 10 websites that are ranking on the first page for that keyword, they are all related to voiceover training. Now imagine, they're the ones that are going to have the highest page rank, and hence obviously you would assume that they would have the highest relevance for that keyword. So they would be the ones that you would really want to have backlinks from if you were setting up a business in the voiceover training industry.
But
if they were the only sites that you could get backlinks from that Google would value as important, then those sites could charge whatever they value, whatever they thought was worth it, to give you a link, which Google then looks at that as a kind of monopoly. And it's also unfair.
So instead, Bill's mission right now, just as many other people who are watching or listening to the webinar, his mission getting started is, number one, pick 1 or 2 keywords.
Yeah.
And then try and get backlinks from high page ranked sites. But how do we do that?
Okay. Now, what I would suggest to do is firstly pick your 2 keywords and create 2 blog posts based on those keywords. Then you would want to create backlinks, not necessarily to the homepage, unless your homepage is one of the pages that you're optimizing for one of those 2 keywords. So you want to start building backlinks to the pages that you are optimizing. So for example, let's say for Bill's site, Bill has let's say he creates a blog post for the phrase voiceover training, and it's not on the homepage. It's actually a blog post somewhere in the site.
Do you have one of those? I'll bet you do.
I probably do. I need to go back. It would have been done a long time ago. I haven't, but I've got some content in my head that I want to do relating to that. So I can do a new one.
So what you would do is, okay, this is another concept that may help a lot of people. Now, PageRank is something that you get from links coming into your site. what also happens is the value of the page rank, it comes to your site onto the page that it was brought into. So let's say you have a link coming from an external site and it comes to your homepage. So that brings a certain value of page rank to the site, but then that page rank value is then divided equally amongst all of your links on your site.
Now let me repeat this so you understand. If, for example, many people like me for many years, when I've been going out and posting places, I have been linking them back to my home page, my index page, my fredgleeck.com, just main page. Absolutely wrong. Why?
Right. Now, if you imagine your site is normally created, and it's a hierarchy structure. You have your home page, and you will have a series of navigation links. When you go into some of those links, they will then have further links to take you deeper into the site. Now, if your page rank only comes to the home page, let me give you an example of how it's diluted as it goes through the levels of your site. Imagine you have a page rank link coming into your site of a value of 10, which is very unlikely that you'll have that. But
so
let's just say
Facebook link to you.
Yeah, let's say you've got a page rank. Let's say you've got a page rank from Google. Google decides to link to your site, and you have a link from a web page that has a PR value of 10,
which is Google. Yeah.
Now that comes into your home page because that's the page. Let's say you're linking to.
Right.
Now your home page has 10 links going to other pages. Now that page rank value of 10 gets divided by the number of extra links going to your other pages. So each of those pages now only has a page rank value of 1 going to it. But then let's say that's the first tier of your site. Let's say you go deeper into your site. So those pages then have further...
And it further cuts it proportionally.
Exactly, with the number of links that you have going to it.
So if we were trying to really be smart about it, and we got a link from Google,
yes,
it's a page rank 10,
yes,
or some other highly linked site, we would have it go to one specific page. It might be our homepage, but more likely it's a specific blog post or some other page.
Absolutely, and there's a very good reason for that. Because nearly every single page on your site, irrelevant of whether it's in your navigation bar or it's one of your inner pages, it will most likely have a link back to your homepage. So instead of linking to the homepage with these high PR backlinks, if you actually link directly to one of the inner pages, the page rank is then going to automatically go to the homepage anyway.
Do you understand that, Bill? Avish, do you guys get that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, since every page that you have internally within the site has a link back to your homepage, the homepage will benefit by virtue of the fact that there's a link back to it anyway. So don't try and link to the homepage, try and link to a specific page internally.
Absolutely. One of the other reasons is if you imagine your homepage, if you link to the homepage, your homepage will have a high page rank value. And as the page rank flows through your links, through the structure of your site, the deeper you go into your site, the lower the page rank value. Now, the lower the page rank value, the less important Google puts on indexing those pages. Now, you can check this by actually, if you go to Google and you do a query.
Should we do it?
Yeah,
okay.
Well, why not? Let's have a go at this. For example, Bill may have, I don't know how many pages you have on your site, Bill, but if you actually, do you know how many pages you have on your site, Bill?
I don't.
No, okay. No, okay.
There's a way to find that, though, too.
Yeah, no. If we type in site www. The domain name.
Yep. voice-over-training.org.
Yep. Press enter.
So we hit site.
Yeah. So now at the
Do
moment,
you see this? Do you see this, Bill?
Yes.
What
Do you
this
want me
does-
to get the page numbers for you, by the way?
Yeah, it's 182 is what that's how many Google says they've seen.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
I would probably put money down that you have more than 182 pages on your site.
Okay.
The reason for that is Google doesn't index every single page of your site, even if you give it a sitemap, even if you give it easy links to every single page.
Why not?
The reason for that is it doesn't have enough page rank. Google doesn't feel the page rank value of as it goes deeper into your site is high enough for it to warrant indexing all of your pages. So this is the reason. If you actually start a brand new site and you create high PageRank links to the home page, some of those, the PageRank value will go off to the links that leave from that home page, and Google will probably index the first 2 tiers of your site, but not further. But if you start creating high PageRank backlinks to from the bottom up, Google is going to index more of your site. Now, this is important because if you imagine the more of your pages that are actually indexed in Google, the more links you have to the homepage, hence giving your homepage more reputation, more credibility in Google's eyes. Does that make sense? For example, here you can see that you've got 182 pages in Google. Google's found 182 pages on Bill's site. That means there's probably, if every single one of those pages has a link back to the homepage, there's 182 links back to the homepage. Now, if there's, let's say, another 100 pages that Google hasn't indexed yet, because the site doesn't have a high enough measure of authority, a high enough value of PageRank, then that's 100 other backlinks to your homepage, Bill, that you're missing out on.
Do you get that?
I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So because obviously if the other 100 pages that your site might have, Google doesn't know it exists, because it probably does know it exists, but it hasn't indexed it. So until it indexes it, it doesn't count it. So the links from those pages back to your homepage and your other pages don't have any value in Google's calculations at the moment.
Now, being the skeptic that I am and knowing that other people feel similarly about people who talk about things, one of the things that we're doing to prove that Ermel knows what he's talking about is this. As of today, or a little bit last night, I'd say, Ermel commanded the helm of your site and started doing some of his magic. We noted exactly where you stood at that point in time in all of the different search engines. And I said to Ermel, I said, well, is it really realistic to think that by the time Bill gets here in just over a week's time, that we could have actually made some headway in this area? And then his response to me was to show me a chart for one of his sites that he put up a month ago that went from, and I saw the data, it went from a page or from a Google ranking of 183 starting a month ago to yesterday it was number 6 for a very competitive set of terms.
Yeah. That was in the property market in the UK, and this was a one-page website.
A one-page site.
Remember, Google ranks pages, not sites. So this was a one-page website that was optimized for the keyword with backlinks to give it authority, structured in the way that Google could easily index it and find it.
Now, the thing that I found most interesting, we had a discussion about an hour ago, and check this out. You also told me that you should do certain things on the home page or your index page that most people do not do. I doubt my site has this. And that is that at least once there's got to be, now, you really don't want to link off your page that often. But if you do link off your home page, you go to a Wikipedia entry. Now, why is that? Because tell them why.
The reason is Google wants to see that you have backlinks coming to your site, but you're not being greedy. It also wants to see that you're giving credit to other sites that are related to what you're talking about or whatever your market is about. The easiest way to do that is to link to an authority, non-competitive site like Wikipedia. Now, Wikipedia has a high PageRank. You're not getting any value from the PageRank, but what Google sees is you're in the kind of neighborhood, your site is in the neighborhood of that market and authority sites like that.
And also, Ermel said to me, don't make it look like the traditional link, because you want Google to think, as they will, that you're linking out, but you don't want people reading the site to click on the link. So what do?
No, there's you can simply camouflage the link using a bit of CSS coding to make it look like it's just part of the text.
Okay, so
one of the other things that I should mention is the link should be your keyword.
Right? Link should be your keyword. So let's take Bill's example here. So someplace on his homepage, if we go back to voiceover training here, Let me just go back to it. Okay, so that somewhere on this page, there might be down about here, in right here or something like that. There might be first you want to go voice over training.
There you go.
Those are your keywords, right? So that's it.
You could turn that into a link to voiceover training in a definition in Wikipedia.
So do you understand this, Bill?
Yes.
So
yes, I do.
But there's only one link leaving your site from your homepage, and it shouldn't look. Now, notice we always associate blue, and when we mouse over it, notice I'm here at drop the announcer. You see how it underlines it?
Yes.
We don't want that to happen when we go to voiceover training. No. We don't want people to see that there's an obvious link that will make them click there and go away. Yeah. But from the purposes of making Google happy, we want to have at least one using our main keyword, voiceover training, and have that go to Wikipedia. So if we went in here, so if we went to Wikipedia entry for voiceover training, it'll get close. I think I spelled it wrong. Yeah.
That's fine.
Voice acting. So perfect. What we'd want to do is we would want to have the site link to this page within Wikipedia. Does that make sense, Bill?
Yeah, it sure does.
And the reason for that is that Google doesn't want to see you as a selfish SOB that's only concerned about your own site making money, but instead you're trying to provide value to the world. Well, one of the ways you do that is you link to a site with a high PR value like Wikipedia.
Absolutely. But make sure it's not the first link off your page. What I mean by that is within the first couple of paragraphs, use your keyword linking to another page within your own site, and the second link on that page will be your authority link to Wikipedia.
Repeat that and explain it. So let's say here, this one, that is at the top of the page. It's above the other one we just showed.
That's right.
That one should go where?
That one should, what you would do is you would turn that into a link, and you would actually have it as a visible link so Google can see that, and have that link to another page in your site for a similar keyword. It doesn't necessarily, the other page in your site doesn't necessarily have to be for this keyword. It just has to be in a related topic to this keyword. But make sure the first link that leaves this page goes to a page within your own site.
So first link that appears, that Google finds on this page, must go to an internal page within your own site related to a similar keyword topic.
That's correct. And then the second link.
The second link down here, let's say we did this one, is an authority link that goes off your site, but is not done in such a way to make it look linkable.
Absolutely.
Got it.
Absolutely.
And now, does that make sense, you guys?
Yeah, I have a question about that.
Sure.
For that link that you're giving to Wikipedia, does Google devalue the link if you have it open in a new target, or does Google not care about that?
Does Google devalue the link if it opens in a new target or whatever? Does it matter what kind of link that is, if it goes there or if it opens in a new page?
No, that doesn't matter. Opening in a new page and opening in a new tab, that's not a function. In my opinion, I don't think that actually changes anything, because you could open the link in a new page or the same page. It's more of a browser function than anything that Google evaluates.
Okay.
Other questions, Avish?
Yeah. So for optimization purposes, then you're saying that you should have a static home page, because with WordPress, for most themes, you have for this theme, you have the option of setting your home page to a blog or setting it to a static page.
I don't think that's the issue. The issue is.
Well, no, but I'm saying you can't, because since you can't optimize like you're saying on the blog is your homepage.
You can optimize the homepage. Just pick a keyword. What a lot of people do is they optimize their homepage for 15 different keywords, and then they try to build backlinks just to the homepage with 15 different anchor text. So then Google's trying to figure out what your homepage is actually about. It makes more sense to create 15 different pages, one for each of those keywords, and just choose the most competitive keyword as your homepage.
Okay, got it.
If you imagine, if Google is looking for natural links being built to your site, it's much more natural to have links from within another site linking to a page within your site than having a link from the homepage of another site to the homepage of your site.
Yeah, that looks kind of bogus. It doesn't look real. It doesn't look like somebody actually went and said, hey, there's something really cool over there, and it's just the homepage is sort of general.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I got it.
One of the things that this is another reason why instead of focusing on building backlinks just to your homepage, Google by default will rank your homepage because all of your inner pages link to it.
Yeah, so in other words, your internal linking, every page that you create automatically links back to your homepage. So Google, once they start indexing your pages, already gives you a bunch of credit for all your internal pages that link to your homepage.
Absolutely. And what you'll find is if you actually link your internal pages and get them ranked, Google lets you have 2 positions for the keywords. It will normally, by default, if your homepage has enough relevance, rank that one next to the internal page.
So you may end up with, for a given keyword, 2 rankings from your own site.
Absolutely. Now, you won't get that if you try to just rank your homepage.
So you're saying you could actually take positions 1 and 2, theoretically?
Absolutely.
Do you have examples of that?
Absolutely. I have, and you will see them in a week and a bit.
Yeah. So in other words, a lot of this stuff, and again, people give out information about SEO stuff all the time. Irmal has been working in this for 5 years plus. Yeah. And so he has actual clients that he's done all this for and actual results. So we know that when he says something. Now, the other thing that I found particularly interesting, there's a lot of nuance to this, and there's tons and tons of different ways to get this going. But the one thing that I found very, very interesting is that Google, and this is fascinating to me. I mean, I never would have thought this. Watch this one. That Google takes a look at this, fredgleeck.com, and looks at it very differently than this.
Without the www. No, without the www.
Without the www.
Yeah.
So those are 2 different pages as far as Google's concerned.
Does that make sense? Now, one of them is www.fredgleeck.com, and the other one is just fredgleeck.com. An easier way to actually look at it when you probably type it into a browser is you'd probably see that, and you'll see that. Have you ever seen that before, where sometimes the sites don't have the www?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, those 2 are actually 2 different web addresses, and Google still treats them as if they're 2 different web addresses. The problem arises with the fact that they're actually the same content on both of those locations.
And what does that mean? Google doesn't like duplicate content.
Google sees that as duplicate content, and what it does is Google takes any incoming links to the site, divides it by 2 because you now have 2 versions of the URL.
So how do we prevent this?
Now, what you need to do is you can actually prevent it by using all-in-one SEO and setting the, I think it's canonicalization. How do you pronounce that? It's a big word. You basically choose, I think it's CN and then another N. Another before the C.
Nicalization.
That's it. That's the word. What you do is you basically, using all-in-one SEO, you can set a URL for Google to use as your main one. And then you need to update something, which is a bit technical, called your h.ht access. It's the .ht.
.ht
access file. Now, that's normally found in your root directory where you host your website.
Now, if you're getting blown away by all this, folks, don't worry. It's just a lot. It's new language. Yeah. But the point is, now, what is this file here?
What this file does, it basically tells your web hosting server that anytime you type in www.fred, or let's say you type in the one without the www, it should automatically redirect to the version with the www.
Let's show what happened at my site when we did this. Okay, so let's show you what's going on here. So tell me what to put here.
http www.fredgleeck.com/sitemap.xml. Now this is Fred's sitemap.
This is a sitemap for my site, and it shows up looking like this. Okay, that's
Okay.
my sitemap. Okay.
Now, if you take the www off and then press enter,
Press enter. There's an error, which means what?
what that means is that's two different URLs that Google and the web browser are seeing. And with the version without the www, the sitemap doesn't exist.
And therefore, what does that mean to me? Is that
What that means
what have
is,
I done wrong there?
The problem that you've got there is Google and the plugin as well doesn't know which version of the URL you're using.
So what should we do to correct it?
To correct that, what you need to do is you need to update your htaccess file and use a bit of code. It's a bit technical. There's about 4 lines of code that would redirect your version without the www to the version with the www of your domain name. Now, and it's very important that you do that, because otherwise, if you imagine you've got a PageRank value of 10 coming into your site, you might as well just half that, because what Google sees is Google's seeing 2 different web addresses. Now, in fact, let me go one stage further.
Okay.
Your website, if you haven't updated your htaccess file, has 2 pages. Every single page of your website has 2 different web addresses. Now, the www dot version and the version without the www. Does that make sense?
Avish, you get that? You're the engineer.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now it gets even worse when you look at your homepage. Your homepage actually has 4 versions of it. So if you haven't updated your redirect or htaccess site, it basically is cutting your PageRank value for any links that come to the homepage by 4. Now, what I mean by that is you've got, if you type in this, I'm going to show you the 4 different versions. You've got HTTP, you've got www.fredgleeck.com. That's version 1. So that's going to be version 1. Yeah, you can hit enter. And that basically will load Fred's site. But then you also have the version that has /index.html.
/index.
Yeah.
Whoops. Is this the HTTP? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops. Without the dot or which?
/ index. It might be
.html.
It might be .php actually, because it's WordPress. PHP, is it?
Maybe.
Yep. And then you also have the version without the www.
See, notice it brought up the pop-up again because it thinks it's a different page. Now, without the www.
Yeah.
So this.
No.
So wait a second. Yeah. Without the slash or with the slash?
That's fine. The /
So now
that's
this.
fine. That'll redirect to the www.
This comes back to my home page again.
Yeah. And then you also have the version without the www, but with / index.php. Because it's the actual index.php file that the browser is actually loading up. Does that make sense to everybody? That's the actual page that the site is actually loading.
Okay, so now this is without the www, and that's going to redirect to the home page as well. So we just showed you 4 separate pages in which, so what does the person who's listening to this have to do to correct that? First off, what's making this, what's happening on the home page is any kind of juice that you get from Google can potentially be split 4 different ways.
That's right. And the reason for that is now Google is seeing 4 different web addresses, all with exactly the same content. And Google is not seeing any redirects from one of those web addresses to the other web address. So what you've actually got to do is you've got to update this file, this htaccess file.
Now, for people who don't know what they're doing, if you know, and believe me, I'm clueless on this.
Yeah.
Bill, you're with me, right? Bill DeWeese?
Oh, yeah.
Avish, you know what the hell's going on here, though, right?
I've lost everyone.
Avish, you know what's going on, right?
Yeah, I'm following what's going on and where to go.
But I mean, yeah, you could probably figure this out. If you're like me and Bill, and I'll bet the rest of the people on this call, you have no idea what the hell we're talking about. But understand that you could get somebody, a guy on Fiverr or whatever, to do. What would you tell this person to do?
What you need to do is you need to get them to update the htaccess file so that any link that doesn't have your www on it automatically redirects to the version that does have it. So that way, anytime Google visits any site, any link to your site that doesn't have the www, it actually won't load the page. What it will do, it will actually redirect to the version that does have the www, hence taking all the page rank with it. What's happening at the moment until you update this file?
Now let me ask you this. Okay, let's assume that I have, as we've seen, mine wasn't quite set right.
Yeah.
If I were to change that now,
yes,
will that help my page rank?
Absolutely.
How quickly?
Absolutely. It'll help the next time Google visits it. Because the next time Google visits it, it won't see 4 different pages with the same content.
So how much potential, now the question then is, how many people link to these others? Is there one, most people go to the www, or one of those 4?
It doesn't matter which one you choose. You can choose any of them. There's absolutely no...
As long as you have one that everything else is redirecting to.
Exactly. But just make sure, if your site's been up for a while, have a look in Google to see which version Google has indexed.
Yeah.
And make sure that's the one that you keep.
Does that make sense to you, Avish? To you, Bill? How about you, Dave? You're there. Dave Hamilton? Evidently can't hear me. Okay, so
the question about
Fred, can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can hear you. You want to weigh in?
Okay, I had my mic muted, but yeah, I'm 100%. Irmel's dead on. I love hearing this. Keep going.
Now, did you know this?
Yeah, what I would do is I would do what's called a 301 redirect, which is his version is more efficient, but it's basically, Fred, you know how to do this. Redirect this domain to point to this domain, and we do that all the time. You can do a similar thing. That's what I learned from Matt Cutts. You can redirect one of these to another and pick one that you like and just point everything there.
Right, and if you're not doing that, you are diluting your SEO efforts.
Yeah, and again, you brought up a good point. How many people are linking to something without a www? I don't know. My guess is most people.
But apparently, according to Irmel, that's not the germane fact here. That's not the issue. The issue is how many total. How in other words, if no one actually put that as the link, would it matter? In other words, like Dave wants to link to my site. If Dave always uses the www version and only that, and everybody else only uses that, then it wouldn't matter.
Again, I've not tested that, but it would just make sense that to make sure that instead of having 4 versions of your URL, you may find some people linking to one or the other. You may find that everyone just links to a particular one. The fact that you have 4 versions, Google will still see that.
Yeah. And by the way, if I was putting a number, as I've started to do now, on all of my products and material in terms of level of, sort of how high a level this particular webinar is, at a 4 to 5 level on a scale of 1 to 5. So if you feel confused right now, you aren't alone, because it took Irmel like pounding this into my head over the last couple of days to make me understand what the heck was going on. So if you don't understand this, don't worry about it. Point is, just understand that all of your sites out there have 4 different home pages, really. And you want to make sure that Google only sort of optimizes for one, so you get the most bang for your buck. Other questions?
Fred, could I say one thing, Fred, about what Irmel's talking about?
Uh-huh.
I think well, a lot of people hearing this say, wow, this is really in depth. There's a lot of basic SEO stuff that to sum it up, can get you on page 2 or 3. But the people on page 1 are the people that really are going after it, and that's the stuff that Irmel's talking about. So just doing...
Yeah, and let's make sure that people understand the difference, because according... you probably have seen this data too, Dave, is that at position number 1 in Google, you're getting, 52% of the clicks? 42% apparently. So 42% or thereabouts. At position number 2, so number 2, you're getting 12% of all the clicks for that keyword term. By the time you get down to position number 10, you're getting less than 4%. So unless if and Bill, by the way, we looked at some of the Google Analytics, Bill DeWeese, on yours, and unless if you're not on the front page for Google, you're not getting any search engine business. People rarely click on the second or third page, occasionally, but very rarely. So unless you're on the first page, forget it. Unless you're in the top 5, kind of forget it.
Wow. Okay, we've got our work to do.
Yeah. Well, actually, the thing is, Irmel's got his work to do to prove his mettle because he's actually. The question is how quickly, and if he did it in 1 month from a site that was nowhere to a site that got to number 6, then he's got his, he's got a challenge here for you.
One of the things that you really need, I think the one of the things that you guys really should need to take from this webinar is when you build your websites, build pages focused on keywords. When you're building, when you're trying to optimize
pages focused on keywords,
on one keyword,
keyword,
as well as building pages that is content for your visitors. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to balance out a certain number of pages on your site are going to be focused on content for the visitor, but also, more importantly, for optimizing that page to rank in the search engine.
Does everybody understand that? Is that making sense? In other words, there's a certain, you're trying to do 2 things with Google. You're trying to, number 1, build some pages so that they find you and they give you high ranks. And you also want to make sure that once you rank, when somebody comes there, that you have a lot of pages that have great content that'll make people stay and keep coming back. So there's 2 focuses within the site. Everybody understand that?
Yeah.
Sure.
Bill? It makes sense, right? Yeah. But in other words, first you got to get them, then you got to keep them, or then you got to keep them coming back. So all of those elements. Anybody have any other questions?
Hey, Irma, all that stuff we're talking about with the HT access file, if we're using WordPress and have all-in-one SEO, that takes care of that automatically?
By the way, in Stanley made a comment that HT access, it's not done automatically by WordPress, as a matter of fact. Is it?
It doesn't seem to be.
Yeah,
because
the
sitemap's not working.
Yeah, the sitemap didn't work, Stanley.
So we should still go in the HT access file and...
It didn't work because now again, what we did was that sitemap.xml.
Yeah, that's the version. Yeah,
this one produced this, so it is not being done automatically by WordPress. Not at all. We just proved it here. However, when you put in HTTP and then put in www. Now it'll give us a sitemap. That is not the same as one of the 4 options, which is the other one. So it is not being done automatically by WordPress.
All right then.
All right then.
Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, the point is that this is stuff that, I certainly have no idea about this, and there's a lot of misconceptions, obviously. So what did you want to see here?
There was something else right at the top of Bill's site that I wanted to point out. Bill's got all of these categories here that are on your homepage, and they obviously appear on all of your pages. Now, what I would do is I would start on the left with the most competitive keywords as the category. So I would, instead of having your voiceover business and voiceover training over here, I'd have the first one as voiceover training, then voiceover business, then the rest. The reason for that is the category is just another link, which is using the keyword,
and it has that is the anchor text.
Absolutely, and it's linking to a page which is going to contain all of your posts that fit into that category.
So, Bill, the action point then is to take this, which is voiceover business, and this, which is voiceover training, and move them into position 1 and 2.
Which I will be doing for you, Bill.
Yes.
Okay, I was going to say, I got to figure out how to do that.
No. That's okay. You're since you paid the money, you got there first.
Wow, I should have charged a lot more, Bill.
Yeah, I know, really, for real.
But now, so what's our goal with all this? Our goal is to make sure that great content is rewarded with great search engine results. Yeah.
I've just noticed something else that Fred and I were talking about earlier that I completely forgot. I've just noticed it. If you go a bit further on that, there now on the on your content on your page, you should do a bit of formatting to emphasize your keywords.
Now, notice what you've done here, Bill. You've done three things. You've done underline, bold, and italics. Now, that's overkill.
Yeah, what you need to do is you need to have all three things, but you should try to do them separately.
Very important. Everybody listening, please understand that. I didn't know that until today, which is when highlighting various items on a web page, use italics, bold, underline, but not together at one time.
You'll find it on Bill's page. You'll notice that he's used the words voiceover training, which is what is optimizing the page for, and he's used it bold, italics, and underlined several times in the page. And he's
so
used
is that
all three.
Actually going to hurt him?
No, I don't think it's going to hurt him, but you'd benefit better if you've done that 3 times. If you did once, you did it bold, once you underlined it, and once you italicized it.
What do you think, Bill?
Well, we're going to change that, Bill.
Yeah.
Change it.
I was just overkilling it. That's all.
Yeah. So then, but all of this, the thing is that this whole SEO now. The thing about it is, and this is what really drives me with you and other clients of mine, is that I know that you have got great stuff, but I also know that there are other people that have inferior stuff to you that are outranking you, and that pisses me off. And I want that changed, damn it. And Irmel's the guy to do it.
We're going to change that for Bill.
Awesome.
You know, so then this is all about, I mean, and again, there's a lot of stuff here, and you know, there's things I just want to know, and the question is, like I said to Irmel, I said, I really don't want to mess with my site. Stanley's gotten it up to #1 for information marketing. I really don't want to mess with it. And frankly, he said, you know, if it ain't broke, you probably don't want to fix it. So you got to be careful, because if you start messing with something that already ranks, however, one of the things that Irmel was telling me was even with my site, there's things I can do to solidify my #1 ranking.
Absolutely. Well, Google will, if you can prove to Google that your site is relevant enough, allow you to have 2 positions for any one keyword. You've got 1 at the moment.
Yeah.
So one of your internal pages, if you optimized it and got enough backlinks to it and optimized it for information marketing,
I could be on the front page of Google. So in theoretic, does everybody understand that? So I shouldn't be satisfied with merely being #1 for information marketing. I should have 2 things for information marketing appearing on the front page of Google, and that is the challenge. And on that note, we're past our time. Any final questions, thoughts, ideas, comments?
Great job,
This is great.
Everyone
big
has been
thank you.
silenced.
This is awesome. I'm overwhelmed.
I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, you know.
Well, again, we do this every Wednesday. Thank you all very much for being here. Tomorrow starts our quarterly Fred Info Bootcamp. If you want to see what that's about, take a look at the fredinfobootcamp.com and look for the Irmel event, which will be at CompleteInternetMarketing.com. If you like what you just heard here, you're going to want to go to that site. And so thank you all. Thanks all of the JV partners for being on board, and everybody else who was listening in. Thanks. Tell your friends, tell your relatives, tell everybody. We'll see you next time.